The Port Chicago tragedy exposed the injustice and inhumanity of the Navy's segregation policies and helped initiate desegregation of the Navy and eventually the entire U.S. Armed Forces. As World War II began, young black men enlisted to fight for their country. Many blacks from the North were taken aback by the segregation and Jim Crow policies of the Navy and other armed forces. However, they went on to perform their duties with dedication. Those who came to Vallejo and then assigned to Port Chicago were mostly from 16 to 20 years of age. All officers over them were white. Almost none of the black enlisted men and white officers were trained in the handling of munitions which they were assigned. A number of munition handling experts warned the Navy that handling procedures at Port Chicago needed to be improved, but the warnings were dismissed. After the tragic explosion on July 17, 1944, the biggest homefront disaster of World War II, surviving enlisted men gathered the remains of the dead, their friends, mostly small body parts. "320 men were killed, 390 men were injured. On August 9, 1944, the black enlisted men were ordered back to munition handling under the same conditions, procedures, and officers that were in effect previously. 258 black men refused. After 3 days imprisoned on a small barge, the men returned to work. 50 of the men were charged with mutiny. The Navy's actions outraged many in the country. Young Thurgood Marshall said at their trial, "This is not 50 men on trial for mutiny. This is the Navy on trial for its whole vicious policy towards Negroes. Negroes in the Navy don't mind loading ammunition. They just want to know why they are the only ones doing the loading. They want to know why they are segregated." After the trial, the Navy began to systematically desegregate, and by the time President Truman ordered the end of segregation in the U.S. Armed Forces in 1948, the Navy was already in compliance. Those involved with the work stoppage must have been tormented between their duty to the Navy and to their dignity and human rights. Many never spoke of the incident after the war.